As someone who straddles two seemingly different worlds, I'm no stranger to this word. Whether as an artist, in government roles, or politico in the artist community, I'm often asking the question, why not? Telling me can't is a surefire way to motivate me. This word is not a wall, it's a door, and I attack it, or in most cases, I gently open it for others. The wave of Obama 2008 swept up many of us in its tidal energy. As an art teacher in Chicago, I too was among them. A recent quote from Obama positions itself on my wall, a note for artists and all of us. When you're stuck in life, keep it about the work. You'll always have a path. There's always something to be done. And no one embodies this more than my father, Mike Sept, who happens to be in the crowd today. Having managed a grocery store for 30 years, he reminds us that our actions and intent define us. He used his position like a social worker to help people out of poverty afford bills, and he inspires me every day. Sister Mary Carita Kent was a prolific community artist and teacher. She encouraged students to find beauty and inspiration in everything around us. Her bold images formed from consumer goods are a unique juxtaposition about her ethical base. My favorite detail about her teaching is taking a viewfinder to find art all around us. And Vivian Meyer got this. A Chicago nanny whose clandestine work was only recently discovered kept a private diary of moments during her trips with her kids into the city. She shows us the subtle, humorous moments that occur right in front of our eyes. This is especially true in big cities where the uninterrupted rush makes compositions for the person who stops. And I love this photograph taken in 1947 by Pierre Jahan of workers at the Louvre. This piece is especially poignant for me because of its uncanny focus on the worker. It puts a frame around the otherwise invisible people around us, whose often thankless work itself is an act of commitment and dedication. Over the course of the dishwasher project, a project that I did recently, my entire motivation for starting and finishing this series were the people. As a former service industry professional, I recognized their crucial role in any restaurant. I'd finish my shift and they would head to their second or third. Armando, a David Douglas High School student, worked alongside his father, smiles at me in the camera. And as a traditionally trained painter, I practiced my drawing or scales like any good jazz musician, so I'm familiar with the boundaries and can push. I love musicians who force familiar scores to bear the weight of eccentricity. It demonstrates how clever we are, the depth of our skill, and clearly communicates our message. Edward Hopper is one of my favorite painters and understands this implicitly. The evident mastery of his scales, he develops these gorgeous, quiet scenes and has an ability to give even his buildings an emotion and feeling. I particularly love his use of color and the layering of cerulean, blue, yellow, and ochre. The image of an oil painting by Jules Bastien-Lepage sits on my desk. Called simply The Potato Gatherers, he's part of the naturalist movement, which used detailed realism to suggest that social conditions had inescapable force in shaping human character. He took the time to carefully depict a woman harvesting potatoes, that her character was worthy of painting. And the art of every day is something ceramic artists understand well. And as an amateur potter, I marvel at the design and human consideration of bowls and ceramic ware. These images articulate this Japanese idea I absolutely love called wabi-sabi, which roughly translated means the beautiful in the imperfect. This detailed illustration of a bicycle is actually from one of my former students, 6th grade student, who gets what I mean by wabi-sabi. A potter who has worked through thousands of pounds of clay knows that never exactly mimicking the unpredictable dents and lines of an untrained hand. I keep this drawing in my studio to remind me to loosen up and to not be afraid. Rust is an imperfection. It's also a fascinating idea to me. This juxtaposition of colors, the way it emphasizes the shape of what it's slowly destroying, is like a magnet. I love how even man-made things begin to reflect nature in color and form. It gives depth and personality to otherwise sterile factories and machines. And like rust, it's in these decaying and forgotten spaces that we see the evidence of human interaction in history. I love the questions that come for me when I'm there, and the beautiful unpredictability of how the building has started to crumble, and where the formerly neat rows of I-beams and windows become scattered, completely unique composition. This international street artist, JR, which some of you may know, melds these two elements with his work of wheat paste throughout his cities. In his series, Wrinkles of the City, he masterfully blends these two concepts of the decaying building and the history and wisdom of its older population. These massive billboards are undeniably moving. Devastated cities and workers like the one in Braddock, Pennsylvania, were lifted up in Levi's Where to Work campaign. The company made real investments in the city and showcased the residents under the banner, "We are all workers. There is always work to be done." This interplay of people, infrastructure, art, and decay draws me into these post-industrial cities like Baltimore. People there understand that art is a powerful lever, and the energy, as we've recently seen, boils beneath the surface. Even these imperfect cities, passionate people show us how art can change lives. And this is the Archive House, an enlivened, reimagined community space in South Chicago by artist Theaster Gates. It is a prime example of the perfect balance. As he puts it, I actually no longer use art as the framing device. I think I'm just kind of practicing things, practicing life, practicing creation. And the last artist I want to share with you is Muriel Lederman Euclides. In 1969, she wrote a manifesto entitled Maintenance Art Manifesto 1969, which challenged the domestic role of women, proclaiming herself a maintenance artist. Since 1977, she has been the artist in residence of the New York City Department of Sanitation, empowering people to act and change societal values and norms. She poses a poignant question: after the revolution, who is going to pick up the garbage on Monday morning? Perhaps we should all ask ourselves this question. Thank you.